Okay, now you've mentioned a couple of times your business partner, who is Chris Fawcett, who I had the pleasure of interviewing at Brighton back in August, I think it was, which his video is available if you haven't seen it. Can you tell us about what you do with Chris, the Frog the Gambler website stuff, you know?
Yeah, so like I said, the first business I set up was an analytics business, and Chris was doing his thing at Brighton, and then he invited me down for a beer. In a lot of good meetings I have around a beer, but we went for a beer in Brighton, and he said, I've got this idea, we're going to call it Frog the Gambler, it's going to be powered by Frog AI. And that was enough. As soon as Chris says that to me, I was like, where do I sign? If Chris offers me an opportunity to do something with him, I don't take a third of a second to think about saying yes. So he gave me this opportunity, and it was Frog AI is basically, Chris has built an NLG platform, so a natural language generation platform. And what it does is we can take any third-party data, we build a corpus of texts around the domain, be it football, tennis, cricket, and we create content, so at scale. So with Frog the Gambler, that was our first shop window of using our technology, and we would generate 5 million words of content a week about football previews with accurate previews. So essentially, between Chris and me, he built this robot and I taught it how to speak.
Well, you can tell us a bit more about that.
Okay, so
in terms that we'll understand, because you're talking to somebody that's a bit of a dinosaur.
So it's very simple. Very simple. It's so we build up this corpus. So I'm no
a corpus for starters.
A corpus is a body of work.
Right.
So we take commentaries off Radio 5, BBC, internet, Twitter, YouTube. Get all the sporting parlance, the vernacular, what pundits are looking for, what commentators are pointing out, and we build up this corpus. And then with the data that we've got, we look for how we can describe that data in the most human-sounding way possible. Now, it's more complicated than it sounds, because things like football, you often get a draw. Okay, so the draw problem was something that was incredibly difficult to solve, because let's say a draw happens 30% of the time, it's not that unusual, and you're constantly saying, well, we think it's going to be a draw because they drew with this team, and the more I'm saying draw now, the more it sounds annoying to keep saying draw. Stop saying draw so much. So a human would know to say stalemate or deadlock. But again, those words are kind of annoying. So you've got to know to not say those words too much. So there's a lot of power in our content that knows, right, I've used that word before, use something different, have a little bit of variety, but don't overuse the variety, because that will start to annoy me. But so there's a thing called the Turing test, where it's, can a machine convince a human that the machine is not a machine? When we launched Frog the Gambler, we had people asking us how many staff we had. They thought we had 50 copywriters generating all this content. And you can actually go to if you go to frog.ai, our homepage, you'll see our football content, our tennis content, our cricket content. You'll see it in written form, you'll see it in audio form. And the amount of variety we've got now, if you watch 5 minutes of a cricket match, say, our commentary will generate 500 quadrillion versions of what you've just seen in that 5 minutes. A quadrillion is 15 zeros. Okay, so 515 zeros of that single 5 minute period of action.
Blimey. So Chris already mentioned the products that you use to take on the soft books, and you want a large amount of money. You're too modest to tell me what the large amount of money is, but over an 18-month period. Now, are systems like that sort of the golden egg that come and go, or can you sort of keep perpetually finding different winning methods? But I assume they all end up being worthless ultimately.
It's a good question. I think again, I don't like to sit on the fence, but it is a yes and no answer. I think the football system that we've used for several years, that we're now making publicly available, is bar none the most extraordinary thing I've ever seen, and it's been so much fun using that in the real world. And we had 18 months of crazy returns on that. We're a very small team at Frog AI. We're a very small team, and between us and it didn't take long. It was half an hour a day to not retire, obviously, but certainly to bolster our income. And
Sorry to go and interrupt a minute. So was it half an hour a day finding the selections or just getting the bets on?
Just getting the bets.
So the selections were chucked up to you by the
100%.
system.
So again, it's like, don't make me think about this. Just tell me what to do, and I'm going to do it. I trust the system. I said trust the process the other day, and somebody said that sounds like marketing speak, but literally, I just trust the process, and you have to, because variance is a thing, whereby you can go long periods without winning. Okay, so you have to accept that. You know, and so it's not for everyone. The mindset of someone might be like, I've lost 10 bets in a row. I'm going to stop. I totally understand that. But yeah, so it's it is an ever evolving problem. These edges are not going to stay there perpetually, but we don't sit still. We are working on this algorithm. We're constantly evolving it. It is something of a unicorn, a golden egg, because it is so powerful. Will the next iterations be as powerful? Maybe more so, maybe less so. But we're sitting at, right now, it's returning an 18% return on investment, which by any metric is extraordinary. So there's a lot of room for it to fall off that level and it still be very powerful.
Because when you were doing it yourselves, must have been under the radar for a fair while because it was 18 months. Now you're making it public. I assume that when you release those bets, there's a swathe of bets across the industry on those selections. So I'm assuming that the golden egg gets tarnished very quickly because of the price erosion. I mean, why do you want to share it when the prices are obviously still there? So you could just downscale a bit and.
No, we're all in or we're not. You know, for us it's like, right, we've got we were turning over quite a lot of money, seeing some good returns, and as soon as it became obvious that it was getting harder for us to get the turnover that we wanted, we just like, stop it, let's give it to everyone else. And absolutely right. So this is what I talk about, where you understand when you talk to someone who knows betting industry, like you ask a very sensible question. The price is, how long is that going to last? Is it going to shift and the value is gone? Now, absolutely that may happen on that particular price. Then it opens up the opportunity that the other side of the market will become value. So there's that potential. There's also what is a tremendous thing about our predictions is that often on markets that go on to drift, and that sounds ridiculous because everyone tries to beat the starting price, but I was often having a bet at 2.6 and I watch it drift out to 3.2. I'm like, this feels like I've got a bad bet there, and it wins. So yeah, there's I think there are a few ways that we can sort of work around that potentially inevitable, and that could potentially be inevitable, but you know, there are ways we will work around that.
Now, I'm assuming it'd be a fair bet that there's other very clever people like you and Chris that are doing a similar thing. Do you think ultimately betting on football and sports is going to be the best AI system takes it all?
Like you said, what you did there is you mentioned humans still, you mentioned individuals, the AI on its own. Like, you know, so the AI, I think AI that I've witnessed in the last 12 months has been unbelievable, unlike anything I've seen in my lifetime or anything I could even imagine being possible. I love it. It's fascinating, it's frightening, it's brilliant. But you also have to remember, if you ask ChatGPT how many times the letter R appears in the word strawberry, it will tell you 2. Okay. If you ask an AI to create a predictive model, one of the most successful strategies betting in American sport for a 12-month period was to simply back the team that appeared first alphabetically. That was returning like a 25% ROI for a 12-month season once. So if you just, without a human overlay, I like the metaphor of AI is the hammer and the chisel. A hammer and chisel in the wrong hands, useless, can be destructive, can make ugly things, can be useless. In the right hands, can create things of beauty, great creativity, really powerful things. But I think purely trusting an AI to create a predictive model around sport, I think we're potentially down the line, but I think we're somewhere off that, yeah.
And I'm assuming that you don't just give this to people on the website. So is there any sort of advice to your clients about how to sustain getting their bets on, and you know, because they're going to be spotted fairly quickly?
So I want it to be very clear that So the obvious questions we get are, why are you giving it away if it works? Why aren't you keeping, we get all these questions. And also, I want to be really clear that we are very much pro punter and we are very much pro bookmaker. The two things can't exist independently, and it's okay to be pro both of those things. And so we have loads of material on our website about how to, extend the longevity of your account. We're huge on the recreational, the responsible gambling thing. It's a recreational thing, sports betting. Inevitably, I get emails, direct messages once a week from someone saying to me, I want to quit my job, I want to be a professional gambler, how do I do it? And I just say, this is not what we're saying. This is not a get-rich-quick scheme. Use our website, enjoy it, be entertained, be educated. Perhaps at the end of the month, you've made a few quid. Somebody recently asked me, he wanted enough tips to create generational wealth. And I was just like, right, this is not what we're doing here. So, we definitely give advice on how to extend the longevity of your betting activity, but the responsible gambling thing is very high on our agenda as well.
And what is the name of the website?
Sharpbetting.co.uk. I'm David, and I do a David's Daily where I put out. So we asked, is it free? You asked to do. It's free. I cherry pick some of the predictions every day, and I put them out. I've been doing that since August. And what's quite nice now, little brag here. If you just Google David Betting, you find my website. So that's quite nice.
Okay. So what about your own personal betting? This is the last couple of questions. Is your own personal betting something that actually exists? And if so, how important is it to you, to your income? And what do you concentrate on?
Yeah, no, it's just a short answer for this, but no, it's not. Like I say, I will just think a market is wrong in a boxing match, and I might have a significant bet on that. But they are a handful of times a year. Most of the time, I'm having a few hundred quid on a fight, often less. It's very much, I want to have that jeopardy of winning or losing some money, but it's not in any way a professional endeavour.
Okay, now my last question, you've already given a very in-depth and entertaining interview. My last question was, would you describe yourself as a professional punter that is sharing his knowledge, or a businessman that is also a successful punter? I think you sort of described that, but... Yeah,
so I think... for me, it's absolutely about the business, but I think how we present our businesses, you can tell that we're betting people. Yeah, so that works nicely. And so for me, the biggest bet, my mother always said to me, whenever I had a challenge ahead, she always just said, go for it. And it's simple, and I just said, go for it. And my father would always say, may all your endeavours bear fruit. And those things stick with me in everything I do in business. And I think for me personally, it's not about being a professional better and betting on sport. It's about betting on myself, and that is, for me, that is the biggest bet I can have.
Okay, now finally, anyone that goes on LinkedIn can see you doing those 27 pull-ups. What's your target there?
Oh, I'm doing 30 later this year. Yeah.
Brilliant. I wouldn't bet against you. David Hipkin, thank you very much.
Thank you, Simon.